What's good, everybody? This is your boy Lorelco, aka Lo,
And I'm Wanda.
and this is the Forever Pod.
Yay!
What's up, y'all? We in this thing.
We are in this thing. We're so excited to have you. Welcome to the first episode. If you listen to the pilot, we had to get our sillies out.
Had to get the giggles out.
The giggles, as our kids say. How y'all doing? What are you doing? Are you driving to work? Somebody's making dinner.
Are you working remotely?
What you making? Okay, I smell it. You doing
Pork
a good
chops, collard greens.
job. Ew, pork chops. Yuck.
You know, yeah, turkey legs.
Do you wish that I made you pork chops?
I ain't had pork chops in a minute. Smothered pork chops.
Now we're in Nashville. You can ask your mom, "Hey mom, can you make me some
I
pork
don't
chops?"
I don't eat that stuff.
But she would love to make you pork chops. She would love for you to ask her, babe.
I'm not doing that.
You know you miss them.
I prefer to eat cleaner. I
But
just said
a
it.
casual intro is just like, we have been married for 10 years.
We have.
And we have 3 kids.
We do. 3 boys.
Yeah, 3 boys. Sorry, boys. All boys.
Twins that are 5 years old. And then we have a 2-year-old. I believe the 2-year-old runs the 5-year-olds. I believe that's
him?
the case.
Yes. His name is Koa Peace. And Kason and Kylo are the older brothers.
Yeah.
We live in Nashville.
Yes, we just moved back to Nashville a couple months ago. So,
Which was completely crazy. We'll talk about that in another episode because that, I think, deserves its own episode.
100%.
We're building out like a faith community right now called
That's
Heavenly.
exciting.
So we'll talk about that, obviously, in other episodes. But what else? What else should they know? Fun facts. My favorite color is yellow. Somebody needs to know that.
My favorite color, I mean, it used to be blue, but that's kind of like light.
I thought your favorite color
like-
was purple.
It used to be purple,
See,
but now it's like, I feel like it's like beige, like pastel colors.
okay.
Like I love wearing pastel colors.
Clock it.
Yeah.
What does forever mean to us?
Yeah, so we named this podcast Forever. And actually, wifey came up with a name. And
You didn't like it.
I didn't like it at first, to
initially.
be honest, because it was kind of vague. I was like, forever what? What does it mean?
I think for me, I didn't want it to be like a marriage podcast per se, but I did want it to be reflective of how we live our life, which is for legacy. Everything we do, we feel like has implications on forever, eternity. And so I thought it was a play on words because, yes, you say you're going to get married and you say,
Right.
like, we used to always say when we were dating, forever and always.
Forever and always.
And then you would say,
Always and forever.
period. So that's why I was like, oh, I love this. But
Yeah.
also, we're living in light of eternity.
Okay. All right.
We're living to hear well done.
All right. I like it.
So forever. So we'll be talking about faith, family,
Parenthood, Bible,
wellness, rituals, mindset hacks, business.
Yeah.
I mean, we have done a lot of things, y'all. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur part-time, but Lo also works in tech. He works in ed tech. He got multiple degrees. Hello.
Okay.
He's been in education and then he moved to tech. And then we're building a community and we call it Heavenly. So we've been having like this. We're having our second Heavenly night next week. I don't know when you're listening to this podcast, okay? But just know we are in a season of surrender. We have ran from doing a podcast for a long time.
Yes. Let me ask you, what is season of surrender? What is that? That piqued my interest. We are in a season of surrender. What does that mean?
Oof, don't get me started.
'Cause now
but
you done hit something. Like, what does that mean?
long story short, like you can be in a season where you're not surrendered and it seems like God is blessing you. And then God clocks you. I'm just kidding. He doesn't clock you, but he just gently or ungently reminds you that, hey, you have not surrendered your life to me. So your success is just built off your own merit. And so either it's kind of like Jonah, right? Like Jonah did not want to do what God called him to do. And so he went into a well and he began to be in a season of surrender. Once the well took him out, he had to surrender. So I feel like for us, we have a lot of, I'll talk for myself. I had a lot of selfish ambition. I am ambitious. I am a go-getter. I'm a type A girly. I love to do things. but I feel like a lot of good things were not a lot of God things for
Oh,
me.
that's good.
And so God had called me to a season of surrender, to where it was like, you can try to get this out the mud, or you can be my daughter and let me get it for you. And you can surrender your work ethic. Not that I'm not working or I'm lazy, but I'm not trying to force squares into circles.
Right.
Therefore, I surrender all of my little puzzle pieces to the Lord, and I'm like, you got it, Daddy God. I'm just kidding, not Daddy God. Shout out Tony. But just like, you got it, you know? And so a season of surrender is a season I feel like we all should be, especially if we are wanting to bear fruit that lasts forever.
Okay, you've been on that fruit for a minute.
Fruit.
Yeah.
Because the Bible calls us to be fruitful. Jesus says it in John. He says, abide in me and I in you, then you will bear much fruit. What does abiding in him look like? Surrender.
Surrender.
I just felt like I needed to whisper that. Surrender. And so I thought fruitfulness meant like, I'm making all this money, I'm the successful girly, we're a successful family, blasey, blasey. And God was like, yeah, I want you to be healthy, wealthy, even as your soul prospers. But if that's all that you think fruit amounts to, you've got it completely backwards. And so I feel like, yeah, surrender just meant like, I want God's will more than I want my own. And I think God has great plans for me, but it's not going to come off my own merit and off my own work ethic. And so I sleep peacefully now. I get 7.5, 8 hours of sleep where I used to get 5 hours of sleep. So
How do you know that you need? How do you know that you haven't surrendered or that you need to surrender? I know you mentioned Jonah. Do you have to get in the belly of a fish to realize that you need to surrender? Like, what does that look like?
I really want you to tell me that.
I think
You're asking me a question that I think
questions.
you have a great
These are
answer
great questions
for.
that I believe that you can speak.
I
to us
believe
about.
that God has really.
I'm not going to answer my own question.
It's a good question, but I feel like you will be able to answer it for me. But I'll answer it.
Please,
I guess.
thank you.
You want to hear my voice?
I believe. Yes, I do.
Okay. I have been a hard-headed daughter. You know, I haven't been like completely disobedient, but I just didn't trust the Spirit of the Lord inside of me enough.
Okay.
So I would say like sometimes God has to beat you over the head. And God is gentle, but he's also like, you know, like when time is up, right? And you can't ignore him. I just feel like he's unignorable.
It's true.
So I don't know your question anymore. I forgot.
No, what is it? Does surrender always look like having to be swallowed up by a fish?
No, but there's
how do you know when you need to surrender? Because some people like are in their zone and it looks like they're flourishing. It looks like you said, everything is going well. What is it? What does it mean? Like, how do you know that there's something that I'm not laying down? Like, what does that look like?
I'd say if you can put your life up to scripture and you realize like, yo, my life doesn't align with this scripture and I'm overlooking parts of the scriptures and parts of the commandments because they don't fit with my current lifestyle, you need to surrender.
That's good.
I'd also say if you have no peace, you need to surrender. If you have no joy, you need to surrender.
Yeah.
If you have no patience, you need to surrender. If you have no long suffering, you need to surrender. You know where I'm headed with this. If you don't have gentleness, you need to surrender. If you don't have meekness, you need to surrender. But the true reality, I think, is that we always need to surrender. We surrender every single day. So I shouldn't say I'm in a season of surrender. I would say I'm in a lifestyle of surrender. And it was extremely prideful of me to ever think that I didn't need to surrender fully forever. I've been on this kick of Romans 12:1-2, where he literally says, it is your reasonable service to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God. Like, that's our reasonable service. So then you clocked me. You clocked it.
I didn't clock.
It's not a season of surrender. It's a life of surrender. So maybe we were like partially surrendered. And then God was like, no, baby girl, like, you don't have a full revelation. And he's so gracious. He just teaches us of a better way. And now we have a life of surrender.
That's good.
You love that for me?
Did
I answer? Did I win the race?
No,
did I do the
good.
quiz? Like, did I get an A+?
I like that. I like that.
Okay.
I mean, from our perspective, I believe that when you think of surrender, you think of sacrifice. And anything that you surrender is probably in a place that's too high. It needs to be dropped low.
My God,
So
man of God, let me raise an offering.
So no, but when I think of us having to surrender daily, there are places or things in our life, things in our mind that we have placed above God that we have to constantly cast down. That we've put it as a priority above what God's will above God's will for our life, and we've created our own will for our life.
Right.
That needs to be cast down. Because like
true.
you're saying, hey, I was cool with doing my job, being a boss, doing this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
But you've placed that as a priority versus, okay, what is God's will for my life versus my own will for my life?
Yeah.
So when you're talking about a daily surrender, I think that's just a daily sacrifice. I'm sacrificing my life, my will for God's will. And I think that's something that we can all practice each and every day. And I think it'll help us to live differently too. And for me, it's helped me to think differently.
Live different.
It's helped me to think differently about my life and about my own ambitions. Like, is my ambition selfish, or am I going after godly ambitions? And what is God's will for my life? How do I act on that? It's not about performing. How do I live in that? How do I live a life of complete surrender? Well, that means I'm laying down my life. That means God's my only priority. Everything that he has for me, I'm going to walk into. I'm going to do. I'm going to live. I'm going to speak. You know what I'm saying? So
That's
I think,
so good.
Yeah, I think that everything has to be cast down at the feet of Jesus. I was reading something. It was saying that true revival starts at the master's feet. And I'm like, man, isn't that beautiful to know that everything
really
starts with Mary at the feet of Jesus. It doesn't start with doing like Martha. It starts with Mary. And when we're at his feet, revival starts. When we're at his feet, surrender happens. When we're at his feet, surrendered, everything else that we feel like we need to do, God will take care of it. Because she said that's the one thing that she's doing right. She's doing the one good thing. It ain't about what you're doing, Martha. That's cool. I'm glad that you're working. We all thank you for serving us. But that one good thing, that's what she's doing, that's a life of surrender.
That's so good.
Everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That matters more, being at the feet of Jesus, because he'll take care of everything
So it's
else.
a life of surrender, not a season of
Correct.
surrender.
And you said it right. Yeah,
I
it's a
love
life
you.
of surrender.
You're
Yeah,
so good.
life of
That's
sacrifice.
so
That's good. I mean, that's good. I mean,
I love that. As you're talking, I was thinking about one of my favorite scriptures ever. Which one do you think I'm thinking about? You know.
Hebrews?
Yeah. Hebrews chapter 12, 1-2. Read it. And again, this is not like you don't need to be a believer. Like you don't need to be a believer to listen to this, but I hope you take into your heart what we're saying and don't feel preached at. Okay. We're just like talking. This is our like car chats.
yeah.
But literally the scripture says like, wherefore seeing we also are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin that does so easily beset us, surrender, and run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him.
She gets really excited.
I love to recite a scripture that I learned at like 16. Endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. I am not going to theologically break that down because I need to reread it. But what I hear from you is that in order to surrender, we must consider Jesus. We must consider our forever, right? Because I'm living to hear well done. And I'm not living to die. Like, as a believer, we're not living to die. We're living to live again. Somebody ought to.
Hey.
We're living to live again. So in essence, we're living for forever, for eternity. So like everything that I do, in order for me to do it, I have to look at Jesus, who is the author and finisher of my faith. And I know that he's sitting on the right hand of the throne of God. And so I have patience. So I have joy, right? And so it's like, yeah, I want to have the life here that's fruitful. And we're going to talk about that. Yeah. I want to have a healthy marriage. Yeah. How do we have a healthy marriage? Right. I mean, we got married within a year of knowing each other, or practically like, yeah.
You know, most marriages, like most people get divorced because they were too young.
That's crazy. A lot of people get divorced. We are still here. We're still standing, right? So like we have to talk about these things. And so forever is double multi like entendre, because we're very big on like legacy. We're very big. Like we think a lot about like our generations. We think about like the decisions that we make, the conversations we have, how we discipline our kids, we disciple our children. Like,
Right.
we disciple 5-year-olds, guys. Our 5-year-olds, my husband has taught them so many scriptures. Like, we have just, like our little things, but we look at our kids because we walk through infertility. We look at them as like, man, they're miracles. And we know that they're going to live longer than they're in our house. And so, like, everything we do, we think about forever.
Yeah.
We think about things that are going to outlive us, finances, all of it. Like, we're thinking longevity. When we think about coming to Nashville, do you think we want to live in Nashville? At least not me. I wouldn't be here, guys. I'm a Cali girl. So it's like,
Want to be on the beach.
when you surrender to God, it's in light of forever, right?
Yeah.
And so I want this is going to be kind of deep. But it's something that I think a lot of people, especially in this generation, should start considering, because a lot of us, like, in our culture, are living quick fix, instant satisfaction.
Yeah.
I cut friends off. I cut relationships off. When they bother me, I'm done. I ghost you. Divorce, like, I'm not at people who got a divorce. If you got a divorce, welcome to this podcast. We are not judging you at all. The Bible allows for it in certain instances. We'll get into it. Maybe we'll have someone who's divorced on our podcast, have a guest. Suggest some guests. But everything we're doing, if we look at Jesus and we want to be believers and we look to him, we have to consider forever.
Yeah. And I think that when you were talking about laying things down, I think for the one person who's listening, that when it comes to surrender, you cannot be afraid to surrender the thing that you're holding on to the most. Oof. Because that thing can have a stronghold on you.
That's good.
It can have a chokehold on you.
Oh.
Where it's like Abraham the Lord told Abraham to surrender Isaac, his son, his son that was gifted to him because Sarah was barren. He had to give away his son, surrender, and God had to check his heart. Will you give him to me?
It was a test.
It was a test.
He said, now that I know you.
And God was testing him to figure out, will you give me the one thing that's most precious to you? And many of us, we walk away from God because we refuse to give up the one thing that we placed above God.
That's so good.
And so I remember watching this one guy. He was like this celebrity YouTuber or famous YouTuber, and he said he's done with Christianity because he didn't get what he was promised. And it's like I was doing this Christian thing for 3 years. I didn't get what I was promised, man.
So funny.
So I'm done.
I didn't get what I'm promised. I'm done.
No,
with
that's
y'all.
how people think. Like, I didn't get what I was promised, bro. I was promised. I was like, what were you promised? Like, what? Like,
Who promised?
Who promised you something? What scripture did you read that you were confused about? Because one thing we're promised suffering.
Yeah.
If we're promised like living a life for Jesus, you got to suffer and endure the cross. Is it endure the cross?
Yeah.
Endure hardships as good soldiers of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You're promised eternal life to get to know Him. Like, what else do you want? And I think that people go through life thinking they don't have to surrender anything and still love God. No, if you love God, you got to surrender that thing that you placed above Him in order for you to live a life full of Him. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like being in marriage. Like, I have to surrender daily to you. I gotta
That brings
bring
me to my
down.
question for you,
Yeah.
actually. So, many of you don't know this, or you do know this, but we got married, like I said, within a year of dating.
Okay.
We met on Instagram, and then you just pursued me like, pow, I love this lady.
Yeah.
I'm finna pursue her.
Yeah.
So, when we talk about forever, what made you decide like this woman is going to be my forever, and I know this so quickly? And how did you deal with, like, did you have any fears? Were people afraid around you about the decision that you made for me? I need some popcorn.
I'm gonna make it quick because this can be very long. But yes, of course I was afraid. But before I met you, I prayed about you.
My
And
God.
I was before I met you, I prayed about you, and there were some things that I wrote down that I wanted in a wife that was really clear. Like, I had a list, like, yo, I think this is what I'm needing. And I remember that, for 2 months, I just had this burning desire for a wife. I didn't know why. I thought I was going to get married at 30, like live it up a little bit, do my thing. And I remember late waking up at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, like crying out to God, like, God, like, why is it that I'm feeling like I need a wife? I feel this thing. It's heavy.
Wow.
And so when I met you and we talked for the first time, met you on Instagram and we had this conversation, and I was like, yeah, this is it. Because it was just confirmation based off of what I prayed for. Now, I didn't know how it was going to work out. That wasn't on me. That was on God. And I told the Lord that that's not on me. That's on you. And so when I was pursuing you, I wasn't pursuing you in the way that like I would in the flesh. Because I think if I pursued you that way, I would have like given up. Because you were a hard cookie to crack. To be honest with you, you ghosted me a couple times. You felt like you weren't feeling me. I'm like, you know what? I can do better, bro. I'm good. And I thought about it. No, I can't do better, man. Lord, help me figure this thing out. And I pursued you the way God wanted me to pursue you. And I think that I let go of all of my guards. I let go of all of my barriers. I let go of all of my pretentiousness and all of my, expectations of what I thought it was supposed to go like. And I just said, God, you take the wheel, and I'm just going to humble myself and surrender. And I pray this works. And that's what I did. And so I pursued you the way God wanted me to pursue you. And yes, there were some fears there. Yes, I was, upset sometimes because I feel like it was hard. And I was expecting it to be easier because I knew what I wanted, but it was just difficult for me to achieve it or to receive it. But I think that when the Lord opened your eyes to who I was to you, I think that's what made it kind of stick together. I'm like, okay, so now you know, because I think that was the hard part, is that I know who you were to me, but you didn't know. And so I didn't want to force you to know.
Come on.
I didn't want to sit here and say, hey, I'm your husband, you my wife.
We love a gentleman.
I didn't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to be like organic. I'm asking God, like, God, why haven't you showed me to her? I'm right in front of her. And for months,
so you wanted God to make me like you or see you? See
me. I feel like I was there, but I feel like I was hidden in a way. Like, I wanted you to see me in a certain way. I didn't want to be your friend. I wanted to be your husband. You know what I'm saying? And so that's two different things. Of course, I want to be your friend.
I was clearly 20 at the time. I'm like, honey,
But I knew what I wanted, and you were exactly what I prayed for. And when you see that, you got to go after it. Okay. And you got to be confident. Like, okay, God, this is it. She in Cali, I'm in Tennessee. I don't care how that's going to work, but we're going to make it work.
That's crazy.
If you're in Florida, I'll go to Florida. I don't care. If I fly on a plane for the first time, I fly on a plane for the first time to meet her. But I know I know she's mine. And you got to have that confidence, especially as a man. You got to have that confidence to know when God speaks a word to you, you have to go after that word. You have to act in that word and be confident to know that that's the word that you hold on to. That's mine. I'm going after her. Lord, give me the strength to take her. Not literally take her.
You so
Lord,
good.
give me the strength.
You so good with your words.
Okay, give me the strength. I need the strength.
Yeah.
Because I can't do it on my own. Because I'm powerless without him. So when you're looking for a wife, like, there's complete surrender, yes. But you have to know that there's no will on your own that'll be able to sustain her being with you. Because we going to fall all the time. And I think we want to be Superman, but to be honest, we got more Clark in us than Superman. You know what I mean? And so I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, and I did. Made a lot of mistakes.
One thing I remember about you, though, I think, like, you would tell me a lot. I think what helped you, because a lot of guys that I talked to were, like, crazy or, like, just did not think the way that you thought. I think what really helped you was the fact that you had seen a healthy marriage growing up.
Yeah.
You would always tell me that, like, oh, my mom and my dad, like, we remind me of my mom and my dad. So, like, you were not afraid of forever.
That's good. Yeah.
But what would you, and also, people told you not to marry me.
They did.
They said I was not the right one.
They did.
How you gonna go chase after this girl? She don't even
like
like you. She gonna da-da-da. Like, people just were saying so many negative things. And, like, I was even shocked, like, yeah, why do you like me? Not just people, like, it was close people to you, right?
Yeah.
So, like, let me frame my question. So, one, would you say that seeing a healthy marriage growing up helped you to believe in marriage and to not be afraid of forever? One. Two, how did you overcome other people's opinions?
Number one, I believe me seeing a healthy marriage really helped. It gave me the confidence. It definitely gave me the confidence.
What gave you the confidence?
Because I would see my dad come home and bring flowers and kiss my mom. I would see him come home while my mom was cooking dinner, get behind her and hug her and give her love and giggles and kiss her on the neck and stuff like that. You know, we would go to church together. Everything we did was together. We were never apart. Every time we go on vacation, we never flew. We drove. I mean, I'm talking about Florida, drove. New York, anywhere we went.
And for people that don't know, how far is the Florida drive?
That's a 10-hour drive.
Okay. So y'all spent a lot of time
We
together.
spent a lot of time, we spent all of our time together. You know what I mean? And so we were never in a daycare or anything like that. Usually we were always with mom. And if dad was there from work, we were always with dad. And so all I saw was dad at work, come home, hang out, go to church, go to vacation together. Everything I saw was together. Kind of the same model that we have now is based off of what I've seen.
I love that.
And so, yeah, that gave me the confidence to pursue because, I mean, I knew, I guess that does play a part because some people don't know how to pursue based off of their past and what they haven't seen. That's where uncles come into play, mentors come into play, actually seeing something around you that's healthy that you want to go after because you know what was at home wasn't there. So you're grasping for something that you can hold on to. But I had it at home. Yeah. And so when I had people drop out of my wedding, groomsmen dropped out.
Hey, we forgive y'all.
You forgive y'all. I ain't got no hard feelings. But, people dropped out and, the talk of the town. I had a guy call me not so long ago and said, I remember when they were talking about y'all too, man. Y'all still together. Y'all made it. I'm like, yeah, And so for me, I could care less about what they thought. Based off of hearsay or gossip or whatever, I'm like, I know she's mine. I know she's the one for me because I prayed for her. And I've watched a lot of these other guys get women they never prayed for. They would tell me this is the kind of woman that I want and end up marrying a woman that was not what they told me they were going to get. I'm like, oh, that ain't going to last long, bro. Yeah, it's not what you want. You didn't tell me that you wanted that. But I told them what I wanted. I'm like, this is exactly who I want, bro. And I got it. And if it wasn't gonna be you, I was gonna find you somewhere, And so like you gotta like when dudes and people run their mouth about what you feel that the Lord has for you, you gotta like cancel out the noise, man. I don't know why I'm really relaxed right now.
I mean, you in your zone.
No, for real, but
you're
you gotta
in your zone of genius.
You gotta cancel out the noise because that noise don't matter.
Yeah.
If the noise is in your head, then you're not focused. Tell my sons that all the time. You got to be focused, man. Like remove the distortion.
You're the best dad, by the way. You're so good. Like you're just the wisdom that you teach them is great.
Did you hear Kylo today? He said, "Hey Casey, you need to stay focused."
Yeah.
I told him that today playing basketball. Hey man, stay focused, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that you got to cancel out the noise, cancel out the distortion, so that you can hear God clearly and focus on what's in front of you.
Yeah.
And if there is if there's any truth to what they're saying, you have to address it and say, hey, is there truth to this?
Right.
But if they're lies off the jump, well, you know.
got to just know that you know.
You got to know that you know. And those people aren't for you. And I think a lot of men put more stock in their boys than they do their purpose that's right in front of them.
Talk about it.
They remove the purpose so they can hang out with the boys. And they listen to their boys, be like, hey, man, I don't know if she the one. Really, bro? You don't think so?
So they're looking for validation.
They're looking for validation and affirmation. And so they walk around looking for affirmation instead of actually pursuing.
And having confidence.
To know that what's in front of them is for them.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be left alone. I still want my guys not out. Well, you're not going to have guys not out all the time, bro, when you get married. And I had dudes like, hey, bro, can we hang out? I said, no, I'm with my girl.
Period.
Oh, no, I don't like that, bro. I don't like that. What you mean you don't like that? I'm not marrying you. I'm not going to bed with you. What are we talking about? I need a companion. You're not it. I need a companion. I need an Eve, bro. We can hang out some other time. But I think that scares a lot of men. They don't want to lose that community.
I think that's key, though, because you already had a mindset.
Right.
And for me, that scared me because now Lo has like this beautiful background, right? And his background is obviously marked with tragedy and all of those things, but your overarching theme is you seen a healthy marriage, right?
Yeah.
For me, my parents were together for like 20 years. They never got married. My dad, all respect, he just was not that. Like, he didn't have the mindset that you had. My dad is another story for another day.
Praying for him.
Yeah. But
Shout out to
like,
Pops.
you know, he just didn't have, like, it wasn't that. I seen a lot of abuse. I seen a lot of manipulation. I seen a lot of treachery. I just seen like we was getting it out the mud. Like this was just not a good environment that I was raised in.
Right.
And I was taught that men only want one thing, men are after you, etc. But my dad didn't have he didn't have the best model either, but he also just did not model that. Okay. And so for me, I was just really defensive. I could not believe. First of all, I was like, first of all, why do you like me? I have not earned your like. I didn't earn your love. I did nothing. You haven't even seen me. Because he was really coming hard before he ever saw me. I was like, you haven't seen me. And so I just had a performance-based mindset because my whole life I was performing. I was always trying to be liked by people. I was trying to be accepted so that I can get food and basic needs and love, you know? And so for me to have you who did not make me even do anything to deserve your love, you simply loved me because I told you my story and I was myself. That was probably the first time that I had ever experienced that. But it took me trusting God and to actually lean into God and hear him to say, no, I'm putting this desire in his heart for you because I love you and I want you to experience my love through you. And I'm not saying that you've been perfect or that we've had like the perfect love story. This is not that podcast. This is the wrong podcast.
100%.
But what I'm saying is that God like can still use, he used you as a vessel, right? And over time he's perfected us both.
Yes.
Because we was a hot mess when we got married.
100%.
We didn't know right from left. We didn't know whether we was coming or going, you know, but you have been faithful. You have loved me. You have cherished me. You have treated me with honor, respect. You have been my head. You've been my covering. You know, so I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the journey. But for me, forever felt more like something I had never saw existed. It was something that I didn't even know was possible for real. Like it happened on the movies. So I was living in survival mode. I was living for tomorrow's food, tomorrow's meal. Where am I going to get my next money from? Like that's how my childhood was, right? Yeah. And so the concept of building something with somebody, staying with somebody forever, not threatening to leave, and like committing to them, that was foreign. It was something that I believed in because miraculously the Lord saved me and had me around so many beautiful couples at church and stuff. So I was like, okay, it's possible, but is it possible for me? And so the Lord had to work on that in my heart and in my mind. So if there's anybody that's listening to this who had a broken home and who has been skeptical of trusting somebody, it's possible. Like I want this space to be a place to know that it's possible, but it didn't just take you pursuing me. It took me allowing God to speak to my heart and having faith because you have to have faith to see something that you've never seen before. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I literally had to have faith to accept you pursuing me, because if I didn't have faith, I would have thought, hey, he's just like every other guy. He's just like all that I've ever experienced. He's just like a hood dude, you know? And so I had faith in God that, hey, if you're bringing me somebody like him, like you're going to see us through, man. And so despite all of the things that came against us to get married in a year, which was actually crazy in retrospect. So all respect, people had every right to be skeptical. But in retrospect, looking at it, I'm like, man, that was the grace of God. Like God is so gracious to have even allowed us to meet each other, allowed us to like commit to forever without knowing what all forever would have entailed. Because if he showed us our whole story, I'd have been like, okay, nah, that's crazy.
It's true.
IVF, you know, going through job losses and parenting losses and grief and all of the surrender and all of the suffering and all of the pain. And it's been beautiful. We've traveled the world together. You know, we have built businesses together. We have seen success, and this next season I'm really excited about. I don't know what he's finna do, but I'm just like, it's what I know he put us together for.
Yeah. Did you know that I did the statistic before the pod that 70 to 73% of people get divorced because of lack of commitment? That's an interesting statistic. I was like, lack of commitment is number one. Like, they feel like when they get married, there's a contingency plan or there's an exit plan. Like, oh, well, we'll try it out. And then once they get divorced, there's more likelihood of getting divorced again when you try the second time. So the problem is commitment. And so when you think about forever, well, forever means that you're going to stay committed to the long haul. Through hell and high water, good highs, lows, whatever, you're going to stay. And you have to, that's a mindset that you have at the altar. Yeah. To say, no matter what, I'm staying with you.
So what do you think about, am I cutting you off?
No, absolutely not.
So in light of my story time, my storytelling, and what you're saying, when it comes to this current culture, what do you think about people who say, I divorced him because he was no longer serving me? This relationship no longer served me. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, it's ego-based. It's self-based. Because you're living in a relationship thinking that it should serve you and only you. As if there's no serving on your own that you need to be doing. Right? And so I think that when you flip that, where each party is saying, I'm here to serve you, you're here to serve me, that changes the dynamic, where it's not about, I need to be served, and then you're saying you need to be served. Well, now we're at a different position. Right. Now we're thinking about being performance-based instead of intimacy-based. Right. Because when you're intimacy-based, you're thinking about how I can serve you. And I think a lot of people get into relationships being performance-based. How can I perform for you? Yeah. How can I do this for you? And then, how can I get something back in return? Because when you perform an act, it's to receive something back. Yeah. Right? But when you're intimate, it is just to give, not expecting anything back from it. You're just giving. I just want to give this to you. I just want to serve you. I just want to love on you. Well, hold on, that's a lot. And like, so when I was giving this love to you, like, hold on, what you want? Yeah, it wasn't a performance, right?
That was 100% what was on my mind. Like, wait, what?
Like, I don't want anything back. I'm like, I'm just gonna send you flowers. I'm gonna send you your favorite shirt. I'm gonna send you this. I'm like, I'm just gonna give you. I just love you. I know. It's like, and you're like, oh, I was overwhelmed. You doing a lot, bro. Like, I'm like, no, this is for real. I'm not performing. I'm just being who I am.
It felt so weird for you to just open doors for me, because my dad had never opened doors for me.
That's crazy to me.
Even like years into marriage, he would buy me jewelry, and I'd be like, why are you buying me jewelry? I didn't need this. It's my birthday. But like, no, I could have just been da-da-da. So it's taken a lot. Yeah. But I think because like when we talk about forever, and when we talk about like, oh, if it don't serve me no more, I'm cutting you off. Right. When we talk about like the cultural norms, I think that people miss the sacrifice, and people think like, if you're living for this life only, then live like that. Because people are like, oh, you only get YOLO was the thing. You only, and I'm aging myself. You only live once. Yeah. Like, you only live once. So like, you want to be happy, right? But some things are like, I'm not happy here. I'm not happy with you. We're going to bed angry. I'm upset. I have an attitude tomorrow. I may have an attitude for the next 3 days. But we're not getting a divorce. We're not leaving. You leave, I go with you. We are fighting for this marriage. If we need to call in a mentor, if we need to call in some friends, if we are mad and I'm rolling my eyes at you, like, I'm not leaving. You don't serve me right now. Because that's the reality of a lot of marriages and seasons of marriages. There are seasons where it feels like, man, you don't serve me. Yeah. But when I'm living in light of forever, it's like, no, I stood before God and I made a covenant in sickness or in health, in whatever, riches or poor, whatever. And I'm not saying if someone cheats on you, stay. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying if someone abuses you, stay. I'm not saying those things. Go. Get help, get safety. I'm not saying that. This is not one of those podcasts, okay? I'm not saying by any means necessary, nah. What I'm saying is, like, for the petty stuff, or like the just, maybe you just postpartum and y'all are not connecting. Like, I'm just saying fight. I don't leave the gym when I'm doing a squat and it's 100 pounds or 200 pounds, whatever, and I say, oh, it's just too hard. It's no longer serving me. Because guess what? Real recognizes real, and the hard things are serving you because they're growing you.
Right.
They're rooting you. And for us, like, I think it's really important to have deep roots, right? Because the deep roots for us, like, we don't have a tree that we're getting it off of. Like, we don't have a tree that we're going back home to. Like, I don't have parents that I'm going back home to and I'm just, like, pulling off fruit from their tree because I'm like, oh, daddy, give me an apple. Like, we are the tree. We're building a tree for our kids and for generations after our kids. So, like, no, I'm not about to leave you when I feel like you're not serving me for a month. Oh, he's so selfish. Oh, like, yeah, he's going to be selfish sometimes. And then I'm going to pray and I believe that the Lord is going to convict you and you're going to come apologize.
But on a practical note, I wrote this down.
Am I saying something? Am I talking good? Because I need you to validate
so
that.
I wrote this down last month. The place I need to grow the most is the place that's the hardest to grow. And when I was listening to you talk, you're like, this no longer serves me. Well, you want an easy place to grow, and that doesn't exist.
That's so good.
No relationship grows in easy places.
So good.
And so listen to you, like, you talking, you preaching for real. Like, it makes a lot of sense why people like let it go. It's not forever anymore for them, because once it's hard, I mean, think about it. The seed is placed in the ground, it's covered, and then it got to go through this whole breaking process, and only goes through that process if you water it right.
Imagine
and
the
if
person
it's on the right
that
sunlight.
plants
There's
an
a lot
apple
of
tree.
Right. There's a lot that goes with this process, of putting a seed underground and seeing it grow in the hardest place to grow. Like, not all seeds grow. And I'm just like, man, we look at relationships as if it's popcorn. We put it in the microwave and just let it do its thing. That's the overarching theme of the matter when it comes to forever, is that it takes time.
Yeah.
Like, it takes time to grow a relationship. It takes time to get to know somebody. It takes time to communicate right. And even then, you still may not get it right because people change. And so,
and you have to see people in seasons, right?
Right. That's
like,
good.
There's pruning seasons,
Okay.
and there's,
Now
I don't want to get you started. I don't
get
get you
into
started because we got to end it.
Right.
There's another day.
Yeah.
But like,
Get into my
let's say,
now.
let's say winter, spring, summer, fall. Like, there's 4 seasons of a year, and you have to watch somebody go through seasons. And so I feel like,
and you have to look for transitions.
I kind of expected our marriage to be where it is on year 1, and that was foolish of me to think that, because we hadn't gone through the seasons of life. And since being married, we've gone through friendships, we've gone through moves, we've gone through losing parent. I've lost a parent. You've dealt with just like re-dealing with the grief of losing your dad, having kids, NICU, going through infertility, going through IVF, building a business, following the leading of the Lord, surrendering so many things. And so we've gotten to see each other through seasons, but those seasons have also built us. We've gone through lots of therapy, y'all. We've been in therapy for like 4, 5, 6, 7, how many years at this point?
Consistently for 3.5 years now.
3.5? No, because Casey and Kylo is when I started going, 2020.
Wow, it's been that long.
Yeah, it's 5 years.
Okay, yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, so we've been in therapy for a very long time individually.
Right.
We haven't done we've done some marriage therapy, like counseling, I think, right after the kids, but we've been getting it out the mud, y'all, for real. I'm just kidding. I can't say that. We've been surrendered. Yeah. We have been in the gym consistently for years. At least for me, I'm taking it really serious now. But long story short, we want you to see yourself in this podcast. So if you guys want to DM us on Instagram or whatever, and we'll get more formal. We'll have an email, all that, so we can do questions and answers. Yeah. But we don't just want this to be a marriage podcast. No. We want this to be a place that we talk about relationships, all of the things, therapy, healing, manhood, womanhood, parenting, mothering, sex life, you name it, okay? We're just excited for you to be here and to do life with us.
100%.
And we're building things that last.
That's good. I like that. We're building things that last. We're building foundational things that last, because I think everything starts with a good foundation. Like everything, your business, your home, everything starts with a foundation that's rooted and planted in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Can I get an amen? Huh?
Look, somebody's gonna come to the Lord in this podcast.
Somebody needs to surrender.
If you don't know him as your savior,
somebody needs to surrender.
Open up your mouth.
Open up your mouth, huh?
This guy's too much.
Hey, I'm from the church. I'm born and raised in the church. Pew baby.
Yeah. We gonna have so many stories and so many things, so we're just excited for you to be here, guys.
And we thank y'all for being here. I think this is going to be a great season and many seasons to come. And seasons of life. And we want you to hop on this board, and we want to do life with you guys. So we love y'all. To the next time, episode number 2 dropping soon. Peace.
Bye. Oh wait.
No.
Subscribe. Subscribe, like,
all that,
rate, share. Invite your mama, your grandmama, your aunties, your sisters, your cousins, your brothers, your daddies, all of them.
We want this podcast to grow.
We want it to grow. We want to be a family.
We want to be a community, and we want you to invite everybody that you know to be a part of this community, so that we can grow together. All right, that's the goal.